Hello, my name's Philippa Waller.
My name is Penelope Waller, and we are two of the directors at 4D Human Being.
And welcome to the 4D Human Being podcast. What's it all about, Pen?
It's all about your personal and professional relationships. It's about your communication skills, how you lead, how you work and build teams, how you are looking after yourself and your well-being, and how you are much more at choice. What do we mean by that?
Well, sometimes we can get a little caught in patterns in life. We can all be a little bit on our automatic pilot. So 4D Human Being is all about helping us get back to choice and being a four-dimensional human being. And your fourth dimension, of course,
is intention. So whether it's about your impact, your leadership style, your team dynamics, whether it's about your well-being, whether it's about your communication or your presentation skills, anything that involves human beings interacting with other human beings, 4D Human Being are here to help.
We're going to take a deep dive and look at some tools, insights, theories that are going to help you go from a 3D human doing to a 4D human being so that you can happen to the world rather than the world simply happening to you. Should we turn the blower off? It's like a sauna. I mean, it's November now.
Well, it does look like a sauna for anybody watching, and it's a tiny space.
Yeah.
So, I mean, actually, it's really cost efficient.
And we're in tops. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. If you live in a really small space, if you could get a little kitchen hob and a bed in here,
it'll be done.
It'd be very cost effective. But I guess the smaller.
But WFH working from home.
Yeah. As opposed to WTF. Don't mix those two up.
Don't mix up. Yeah. I can either heat the whole house or I can heat this tiny 2x3 space. And I'm like,
yeah, I hear you.
It's a no-brainer.
And it's
Saturday night.
We're in slightly chiffony, very similar. We've turned up in almost identical colour tops as we do.
We don't usually look like this on podcasts.
No,
I've got to say.
We're going out. And I don't know why I've got to say that in a northern accent, but we're going
Saturday
out.
Saturday night!
Who's that lovely comedian? Out. We're going out.
Mickey Flanagan.
Mickey Flanagan. We're not just going out.
We are going out. I've had my nails done.
Oh, seriously. Watch this space. With the fact that we're even talking about it shows you how rare it is. I love the video. I love that video going around where the comedian says, not Mickey Flanagan, different comedian, in your 20s, someone says, do you want to go out? And you're like, yeah, I'm in. You don't know where you're going. You don't
What's going to happen?
Do you need a passport? Who with? Is it safe? Don't care. I'm in. In your 30s, well, yeah, okay, where are we going? What time, until what time? How are we getting there? Who's driving? That's your 30s. 40s, no. And actually, I'm offended that you'd even ask. That's me at 50s. Well, people stop asking. But we're doing it. They have, and we are. So, okay, welcome to another episode of the 4D Human Being podcast, which tonight is like the Canapé podcast tonight, isn't it? It's like our
it's our pre-going out.
Pre-party pod.
Yeah. I
love an illustration.
Hopefully... I mean, as much as I love doing podcasts, and literally I think this is one of my most favourite things to do, I'm slightly hopeful it won't be the best part of the evening, but it might be.
It might be. It won't be. We're going with some lovely friends.
We are.
I was thinking about it. You start with sort of, it's weddings, christenings. It's your own wedding. It's weddings, contemporaries weddings, and then it's christenings, and then it's children's birthday parties, and then it's decade birthdays are the only ones you bother celebrating. And then, of course... it's funerals. Right, anyway, on that note. Okay, but it's life, isn't it? The circle of life, as Elton John sang. So, we are...
You are very good at weaving and connecting.
Well, Donald Trump, the weave. Don't give me the Donald Trump weave. I hope my weave has more cohesion.
I think it does.
Don't, the weave. Is he talking about his communication or his hair? That's me, isn't it? That's me. Okay. I mean, we'll know next time we record a podcast. We'll know.
We will.
Everyone breathe.
Well, it's all impartial, is it?
Yes, it's not. Well, it's not that so much as the fallout, is it? It's whatever happens, there's going to be a fallout, isn't there?
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Anyway, so charm. We've been talking about, are you good to work with?
Yes.
Pen. Yes is the answer. You are good to work with.
Well, I think I am good to work with. Although, as we spoke about on our last podcast, holding the mirror up and recognising that you are likely to be somebody else's annoying person, because we all have annoying people in our lives, is a really good thing to do. And I would actually say one of the most important things we can do as human beings and as individuals and as leaders is to hold that mirror up and look at ourselves. And we're talking about this very specifically in terms of are you good to work with? Mm-hmm. And fundamentally, the reason I do what I do is I sort of think, for me, the purpose of life is to pass the baton on to the next generation in a slightly improved state.
I agree. In the big relay race of life, you don't want to give a duff handover, do you?
No, and the only way you can do that really is to look at the self and think, what can I do better?
100%. Sort your own house out. It's true. Sort your own house out. I mean, literally, if we all sorted ourselves out,
better.
Done.
Just better. Better relay race.
Better world. Okay. So we are going to give some really practical tips today. So our acronym, because we love alliteration and acronyms, and I need a third A there to have an alliteration on the acronym and alliteration. So your acronyms, alliteration and attitudes. No, not going to do that. Okay.
You've got to reach for it, Phil.
You've got to reach for it every time, but then you've got to pull right back. So it's CHARM.
Yeah.
Charm. Asking yourself, are you good to work with? You could ask yourself, do you have charm? CHARM. And that stands for?
Collaboration. Collaboration, honesty, appreciation, reliability, motivating and motivation. Yeah. And we spoke about collaboration on our last podcast. So today we're going into the H and the A.
Yes, the H and the A. Yes, sorry, I had to stop because I've written them down in a different order, which would be calm, which would be wrong. So let's do them in your order, or else the whole premise of do you have charm becomes do you have kaharam,
which is different.
Different, not the same, and very different for any people who speak English as a second language. So we're definitely sticking with charm.
I don't think we should record podcasts on a Saturday evening.
Well, I'm wondering if it actually is the answer. I'm wondering.
It depends what the question is.
Well, it depends what we want the result to be. And I don't drink alcohol, so this is still sober. Okay, but it is the weekend, isn't it?
I know. We're working overtime, Phil.
Seriously.
For the benefit of our lovely listeners who we love.
But can I do some sort of super segue there, Laura? Rack me up that jingle. Because it doesn't feel like overtime when you are good to work with. It's true though, isn't it?
No, it's true.
It doesn't feel like work.
It feels like joy.
I mean, that's what you want.
Yes.
Let's choose joy.
Was that Oprah?
That was Oprah.
Yeah, I like that.
That's Oprah. It's become a jingle on the Americast, BBC Americast podcast. Yeah. So I've heard it a lot.
So let's choose charm.
Let's choose charm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've done collaboration. So listen to our last podcast for the C.
So
let's go into the H.
Honesty. Now,
tricky word.
Can of worms. Could be. Got to be careful.
Worms open everywhere.
For those Friends fans. So, for those of you in a second language, can of worms means, are we opening something up that we actually don't want to look at? But actually, the reason I say that about honesty is because when we say honesty is really good for being good to work with, really good for, great collaboration and co-creativity. Yes, that's true. What we don't mean by honesty is walking into a meeting and splurging either every detail about your life or every opinion, feeling you've ever had about anybody at any point.
Well, I think a lot of the work that we do, certainly in terms of our leadership work, but also in terms of our comms work as well, is about understanding what's going on inside of our heads and the filter that then comes out. And of course we have lots of quite immediate responses, reactions, feelings.
Well, especially when we're collaborating.
Yes, exactly. And
somebody says, that's a rubbish idea.
And you're like,
I've got something to say to you, Bob.
I'm thinking something. And whilst those feelings are very valid and they're there for a reason, lots of these inner thoughts that we have and the feelings that come up are learned mechanisms that we have to protect ourselves, keep ourselves safe, and that's all good and useful. It's not always useful to let the emotional self be sort of driving the bus and spilling everything out of our mouths in in service of honesty. Honesty is useful, And we also have to understand that all of those thoughts that just fly into our head in every moment, they are happening to us, and we can be choiceful
100%.
about what's really meaningful to us that we want to share.
I think this is such an important point. Firstly, it takes us right back to the 4D 2C model. Right at the centre is intention. As Penelope said, if you feel flooded with feelings and you're like, right, I'm going to be honest here, just check in whether emotion is driving the bus and the physical, actually, the nervous system. And the second thing about that, which I love what you said there, is that we often, we love the phrase, are you happening to the world or is the world happening to you? Now, the danger with that phrase is that you say, right, I'm happening to the world. I'm happening to the world. But your question is absolutely spot on. That before you decide on the external happen to the world, you've got to ask yourself whether your internal world is happening to you.
And are you being honest with yourself?
So I'm going to come to that because that's one of our first tips. So I have alliterated.
There's an alliteration within an acronym.
It's like some sort of meta sort of hall of mirrors, endless.
I wonder if we only get this on a Saturday night. Maybe we do have to do our podcast on a Saturday night.
It just all came together, Pen. I don't know what to tell you. Right. So it's 3 Ps.
I don't know if the audience can hold so many acronyms and alliterations. I know.
Let's give it a go. So within the honesty box, partial, possible, and purpose. Okay. So partial, because being honest doesn't mean saying everything that's going on in a situation, but there might be 1 or 2 things that it's going to be really useful for you to be honest about. Secondly, possible. You have a choice when it comes to honesty, that you can be honest about what's rubbish or not working, or you can be honest about what could work better or what's possible. And thirdly, purpose. Exactly as you said, you can be honest about your feelings, you could start being honest about what you think about the other person, or you could be honest about your purpose, your intention towards this personal situation. So it might be that it's a very challenging relationship or difficult working, a kind of co-creative relationship. What you can be on, even if you think they're a complete a-hole and you hate working with them, what you can be honest about is your intention, your purpose. What I really want to say is I'm not finding this easy. My intention here, my purpose here is for us to really find a way that works best for both of us.
And I really like all 3 of those in terms of being choiceful about what you choose to express, still being honest, really focusing on the positive, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this podcast as well. And then finally, purpose. I think this, probably the last one, is most interesting for me, because when we are collaborating, and also with our co-director Matt, we do often use the language because we try to practice what we preach. What my intention is, what my purpose is here is this. And then as long as you've got that purpose, I feel you can be much more honest about what's wrong, what's working, what's not, how you're feeling, because you've stated the purpose.
It's a bit like
it's not like you're just really annoying.
Exactly. You're difficult. She's really easy to work with. You're just difficult.
And I'm right.
Yeah, and I'm right. Exactly. It's like your main tent pole, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're trying to sort of do a project or work with a team and you haven't really put your main tent pole up, it's just going to be flapping in the wind, really.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 things.
I will just mention partial.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's a really interesting one that we don't necessarily often think about, because I think when we think about honesty, we think about it as quite a blanket approach to honesty. Like you've got to spill it out and say everything. And I think by revealing certain things that we feel can be much more useful than revealing the whole thing.
Yeah.
So partial is a really good thing to think about if you're setting boundaries or trying to, build a relationship or work better together. You don't have to step into everything. You can step into one small thing, and you're building that relationship slowly but surely with that sort of partial.
Yes, exactly. So I was trying to find a quote as you were saying that. There's a famous quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it's something like, it's the hardest thing to say the sort of right thing to the right person at the right time, sort of thing, isn't it? And it's so true that actually, and again, it's usually because the emotions have hijacked us, that we'll go and talk to someone else about that person.
Exactly.
We'll say to the wrong person, or we won't quite say the right thing.
Or we'll be slightly passive aggressive.
Exactly.
I really think, and I've learned...
Or the timing.
Exactly. And I've learned over the years that it can sometimes feel really challenging to be fully honest about absolutely everything that's going on. If we can find a little bit of partial honesty, it may well stop that gossiping or the passive aggression. So just step by step.
Step by step. And I want to pick up on that timing piece. And without being too Machiavellian, although he's always sort of misunderstood, you know, if emotions are heightened and there's just been a spat, that might not be the right time to say, oh, by the way, I want to be really honest with you right now. Actually, I think one of the biggest things I learned as a business leader and as a leader and a collaborator, it's a difficult word, isn't it? Someone who, you know, as a co-creator, let's say.
I think you're a collaborator.
A collaborator. It's just got
it's got connotations.
As a co-creator, for me, it's timing, because I have a certain energy, and that can lead to right now, and I'm an external processor, so I'm thinking out loud all the time. That can mean, I just want to say it now, but actually hold, wait. And sometimes the ground just suddenly is really fertile and in a really good place, and it's the perfect and safe time to say the thing.
I think that's such a good point, Phil, is just watch the mechanisms going on inside your head in terms of what you think is honest and how you're feeling, and also what you think needs to be expressed in that moment. If you think about all of these things sort of separately, what's the timing? What do I actually need to share? What can I just hold for a minute? You can be much more choiceful about what you're sharing. It's not that you're being dishonest. You're being choiceful about the honesty in terms of what the other person needs to hear. And that is going to build a much better and trustful relationship than perhaps spilling everything out.
Can I use this as an opportunity to air one of my bugbears around this?
As long as it's not to me. No, it's fine.
No, it's definitely not. No, definitely not. No. Ground is fertile. Not emotionally hijacked. We're in a good place. It's the mantle or shield that can sometimes be worn and named justice and fairness.
Oh yeah, okay.
So sometimes honesty comes charging out of the stocks in full battle flow, and it's wearing a coat that says, because this is fair. And actually, I think you have to be a little bit careful with, I'm all about fairness and justice. And not because that's not a good thing, but because it can sometimes be in danger of, well, I don't care that they are weeping in a corner. It was the fair and just thing to do.
And I'm being honest.
And it can tip. So I just notice if you find yourself saying, well, one of my values is fairness, and you can feel an edge sitting underneath it. Because I think sometimes fairness and justice can be the coat that anger is wearing, or rage is wearing. So just check in on that we want that to be coming from the right place. It is a really useful value.
Well, it also ties into honesty, which is, that's your position. That's, you know, from my position, this is what feels truthful to me, and I want to share that with you. Whereas fairness feels much more like, you should also agree with my position.
Exactly, because this is right. It's fair and it's right. Exactly. So I think that we're sort of slightly reversing, but, you know, why be honest? Well, I really enjoyed Sam Harris's book. It's really short. I think the audio is like 1 hour, 1.25 hours, called Lying. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from that, if I was to really distill down what I took away from it, is the incremental knock-on effect of even tiny lies. Even those sort of lies where you've said to a friend, oh, I can't make it that night. I'm actually going out, and then they find out you're not going out, but you didn't really want to go. And in a way, it's a small white lie. You were trying to be nice. You didn't want to let them down, but you've just put into the relationship, I can't trust what you. I don't always know if you actually tell me the truth. And once that's in, it's in.
Yes.
So that's the danger of the little sort of no. I'm really I'm fine with what's going on.
And Sam Harris takes that really seriously, doesn't he? To the point of how he speaks to his kids, and we all kind of sugarcoat some things for our kids when they're much younger, and there's very good reason for that. It's. You can't expose kids to everything in the world simultaneously, and obviously he would hold some things back in terms of what's appropriate for their age, but he's quite diligent about what he isn't willing to say and not to lie.
And it really speaks to two things. One is Patrick Lencioni's idea of trust, which is the absolute foundation for functional and high performing teams. If you don't have trust, you really are building on sand.
Yeah.
And the second one is nice versus kind. That a lot of cultures that we come across are so intent on being nice and smiling and saying, no, it was really good. No, that presentation was really, no, well done. You know, and actually it wasn't. The audience was sort of distracted or bored and they walked out. And actually it'd be far kinder to say, actually, I've got two ideas that I reckon if you cut 10 minutes off it and ask the audience a few questions, you know, that's much kinder feedback than just smiling and trying to be nice.
And I'd go back to the partial piece as well, which is I think that is such a gift to think about in the honesty stakes, which is you don't have to say, that was an absolutely terrible presentation, like never do it again.
Exactly.
You could say, you know, one thing that really worked and one thing you could work on. Now, it's partially honest, but I think much more useful and much more trust building than
definitely.
Perhaps the full.
Definitely. And two things on that. One is it empowers the other person to develop and do something about it, to take charge, to have agency over their choices and what they can do. And secondly, you are just doing a favour for everybody, aren't you? Because you're doing a favour for the culture. The more that we're all doing that, the more we're feeding that in, the more we're building that culture of trust and having presentations that don't bore the hell out of us.
And think about the friends that you have in terms of how, on what scale you're able to be honest with them and not. And I always think of Phoebe in Friends, which is, I know you love this quote so much. And when she's asked to go out for an evening and she says, no, I can't tonight because I don't want to.
It's my favourite line.
And I think if you are able to say that to a friend, that signifies some kind of special friendship. Why wouldn't you strive for that?
And I have a couple of relationships in my life where I can do that. You being one of them, and I value them incredibly, incredibly highly. Yes.
Quick word from us at 4D Human Being. If you're enjoying the show, please do click follow so that you can have the 4D Human Being podcast instantly in your feed. And we'd love it if you liked and reviewed us. Let us know what you think. Please do think of one or two people that you could share the 4D Human Being podcast with. Somebody who would really benefit from the content you're listening to right now. Back to the show.
So,
honesty,
exactly. So we want to think about how can you do this. So the first thing, as you said earlier, is how can you be honest with yourself? And that means, can you check in? And if you think about a difficult situation or someone that you think is not good to work with, can you check in on what you're holding that, if you were honest about that, could unlock something about this situation? So all of the time that you're held in the annoyance and the irritation that they're not good to work with, what is it that you know that they don't know, that you're not being honest about, that actually is creating, I'm thinking about sort of canal locks that actually it's or a dam that water is building up, and actually by being honest you could release some of that pressure. So firstly, ask yourself that, and then the question is, secondly, is okay, well, how do I actually have that communication? And we touched on this earlier. You can be honest about your intention. So you don't have to go into, wow, and you said this and then you stormed out and you're so unreasonable. But when you feel, if the finger is pointing towards the other person, stop, pause, watch out. That's not the kind of honesty we're talking about. That's emotion driving the bus. If you can pull back, zoom out, look at the situation and maybe give one comment about what's difficult about the relationship or the working environment or the project timeline, or something that feels more like you could stand shoulder to shoulder with that person and you could both look at the thing that you're talking about, as opposed to it's about that person.
With care and with intention towards moving somewhere different.
So you and I are looking at the project and I'm saying, Penelope, I'm finding this really difficult. So we can own that, and then you own the intention. So my intention in saying this is, I really want us to find a way where this feels easier for both of us.
Yes, and if you can put care into it, if you can put a solution focus into it, and if you can think about the underlying intention of where you want to go and how that person feels, it's going to feel slightly different than, I'm just going to tell you what's really annoying about
exactly, and also what's annoying about you. Whereas if I say, I want to share something with you, and my intention here is absolutely to unblock this project and make it easier. So I'm somebody who finds long emails with a lot of bullet points. It's always my go-to. Really challenging. Now, I get that that's not everybody, that some people really like it and some people really communicate like that. For me, that is a real blocker to both intellectually and relationally to me moving forward. So I wonder if we could talk about how we can make emails much snappier and quicker.
Well, what is so powerful about that is that we bring it back to the self. So this is the impact on me. This is what I know about myself. If you start from there, you've got much more chance of allowing that honesty to flow and to land in a way that you intend.
And that's why you've got to start with holding the mirror up to yourself, because otherwise you don't know that's what's going on. You're just annoyed.
That's right.
But when you know that actually I'm somebody who really likes a quick, snappy email, or even
really do.
Not even an email. I'd much like just a quick WhatsApp voice message.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
So. Good. Honesty.
Honesty. And just going back to what you said earlier, it's so important for our lives generally, but for our working relationships, our collaboration, our performance, the ideas and innovation we can come up with. It is the absolute base foundation level of team performance and team connection and collaboration.
If you do not know Patrick Lencioni's
wonderful book.
The 5, what is it? Pillars, foundations, something of
the 5 dysfunctions.
The 5
I mean, obviously he gives the flip side, but the 5 dysfunctions of high performing teams. It's a brilliant book. It's short and it's brilliant.
Yes, good. So check him out. Now, CH, we've got ch. And we're going to have the A, which is actually cha-cha-cha. So I'm loving that. It's Strictly Come Dancing. It's a good Latin, straight legs. Love a cha-cha-cha. Okay, so we're on the cha, cha.
I think we'll have to call this podcast Cha-cha-cha.
Cha-cha-cha. Oh, I love dancing. They might be dancing tonight. Watch out.
Oh, crikey.
Watch out. Okay.
Woo, woo.
Okay, so
I've got my heels on, Phil. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. You could break an ankle for a start. Okay, so... Okay, so...
It's not the dream.
It's not the dream, is it? It's not the dream. Well, I tell you what, feet are important as you get older. Strong feet.
You are not wrong.
Strong ankles, partly because you can twist them easily, but partly because you've got to keep lifting your feet up because it's the tripping.
It's true, and that's not even if you're cha-cha-charing.
That's shuffling along your carpet. Right. Okay. Anyway, I love that we're doing some age concern advice along. That is only going to increase, isn't it? That's only going to increase. I mean, we barely qualify really for age concern.
Well,
it's all headed. I mean, on the conveyor belt of life, there's no reverse, is there?
We're definitely on the downward slope, Phil. Although I'm quite enjoying it, I have to say.
I've met myself where I am.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, good. Okay.
So A.
That was a quick appreciation.
That was a self-appreciation.
So appreciation. So love this.
That was my favourite thing.
I am going to stick with dancing quickly.
Oh.
So my lovely dance teacher said to me at my lesson this week, he said, and I had a lot of lessons over the summer. And
you did.
And worked hard. And he said, I want to be really honest with you, Philippa. He said, I'm absolutely serious. He said, when...
You're amazing.
Sort of. He said, because he and his gorgeous, brilliant, amazing young wife teach. She's Ukrainian and they used to compete together. They're amazing. And he said, we get in the car at the end of the day. And honestly, when we talk about you, we both say, oh, she's just worked so hard. Like, she's so improved. Now, it was just in conversation and on it past.
But nice.
Later that night, I'm in bed. I've finished, reading a brilliant book that another lovely friend lent me. Appreciation to you, Jill. Thank you. The Other Bennett Sister, great book. Janice Hadler. Okay. And I'm laying in bed and I'm just going to sleep. And sometimes you need to have nice thoughts to go to sleep. You don't want to be going to sleep.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well, always. Like, you want to have nice thoughts because, we can all get a bit worried about, whatever, the cost of living. And I suddenly remembered what he'd said and I thought, oh, I'm going to stick on that. I'm going to stay on that one. Because... most of the time with anything, you're working on the thing, you're doing the thing, you're correcting or you're trying to get better at something. So those moments of actually, you've got this far are really important.
Well, interestingly, I was working with a group of very senior leaders a couple of weeks ago and I asked them exactly this question because we had some visitors from some even more senior leaders in the organisation. They were pretty much sort of second in command to the board. And I said to them, how does it feel when somebody at that level says to you, I think you're doing an amazing job, I think you're in a... And they all said unanimously, gosh, it feels amazing, you really think about that for a long time. And then I said to them, how do you think people 2 or 3 grades below you feel when you say to them, you're amazing, people really talk about you in a positive way? And they all sort of looked at me and it was just interesting that we don't often think about...
us doing it.
Yes, we recognise it when it happens to us, and perhaps we don't think about it quite enough in terms of what we then pass on.
I'm gonna throw in some sort of made up on the spot psychology here, but I think I think it probably stands up. If you think about as we grow up, we are looking to to validate us, to reassure us that we're going in the right. As we grow up, that's how we learn. Transactional analysis calls it strokes. As you get your strokes, you're appreciated, you're valued. Keep doing more of that. Keep doing more of that. That's really good. And we all get stroked, if you like, for different things in different ways. But actually, that's what we learn as we grow up, that there's somebody in authority who's telling us that we are good at something, or, the teacher tells us or the parent tells us. So actually, it's quite bedded in or baked in, as we're talking about.
That's what we hope to get.
That's what we hope to get. Whereas exactly at some point you go, oh, I see this works the other way as well. I'm not a 5 anymore. I can appreciate the other way. Well, the stats are that 87% of people, I mean, that's a huge percentage of employees, feel that meaningful recognition and appreciation increases job satisfaction. Appreciating others makes you feel good, and it makes other people invest more in the work and in you. I mean, it just has such knock-on effects.
Well, it's really interesting as well, because we talk about appreciation and celebration more and more and more in most of our programs, whether that is around network and influence, even if it's just comm skills and impact, whether it's more deeper team and leadership programs. And people like it, they absolutely like it. But I think we can get thinking that it's obvious, that of course we do it, but we're not actually brilliant at doing it. And I think we need to get much better at believing and recognising how much appreciation
absolutely
counts.
Absolutely. And also that it needs to be specific, because I wonder if a lot of people feel like, I do that. Because they open a meeting with, so well done everyone this week. Anyway, so on with the agenda. And that's not...
That does not...
Bob, I want to say something about what Bob did on Tuesday afternoon. That piece of work was outstanding. If you haven't had a look at it, do, because it's a great template for...
And what did that take you? That took you 10 seconds. And in terms of how that will impact that person's limbic system... hugely different than everyone's great, thank you.
Especially when it's public recognition. It's the Oscars at work, isn't it?
Specific and or individual, few seconds, big difference.
So I want to go through my list. Firstly, why do it? I mean, it is one of the quickest ways that you can create a good, healthy, positive culture. We have a negative bias as human beings. We are going into work worried about what's going to go wrong or what we've already done wrong. We are looking at others for the problem or what's not working.
You're thinking at night of the work you've got to do tomorrow. Your brain is going to, I must tell them they haven't done that, they need to do that, that needs to be fixed.
Or I haven't done this, and what if I do that wrong? And so the more that you put in appreciation of others, to counterbalance all of the worry, stress. I mean, particularly at the moment, we are overwhelmed with burnout and stress. The more we can put appreciation in. And my number one on that is, it is one of the easiest ways to create a culture of well-being, positivity, good relationships, trust, courage. I mean, it just does so much if you have a culture of appreciation.
I would offer to anybody out there listening, if you have a difficult relationship within your organisation, somebody that you are, kind of in conflict with, can't get something moving with, they won't help you, they're blocking something. This happens very often in organisations. It may feel really, really hard, but the best thing you can do is find something about that human being that you can appreciate.
Absolutely. And that is also on my list. That is your big game changer. That if you're in a conflict and you are playing I don't like you ping pong, if you pick up a different ball and say, I'm going to play appreciation ping pong, they are not going to know what the hell has just happened. And you can have all kinds of interventions, mediations, you have all kinds of structures around having a difficult conversation. appreciation, or you could go in.
I'm picking up a different bat.
I'm picking up a different bat. Or you could go in your head thinking, I have got years of history of really not liking Bob. But I tell you what, he is thorough. That guy is thorough, and I can appreciate that about him. So, Bob, I just want to say, yesterday as we were working, I really want to say thank you and appreciate how much work you put into that report. I mean, you took so much off my plate and you didn't miss a thing. And thank you.
I'll go back to the partial. You don't have to say all the other stuff.
No.
Just go with the thoroughness.
Exactly. Hold back. I can't stand you, Bob, and really wish you didn't work at this company. And just go with the very thorough.
That's true.
Thank you very much.
You know, I've got to acknowledge that.
Because it's the truth. We all saw it. So thanks, Bob. Exactly. Honestly, but it's so true though. It's one of the quickest things to do. You know, if you don't want to have the difficult conversation, just pick up the appreciation ping pong ball and just go for it.
Do it. It's once we can just get over that ego hurdle,
get over your ego.
It's not that hard. It costs nothing.
And you are not nothing. And you are not saying, Bob, I condone everything about you. No. Everything you do is fine with me. You are not saying that. No. You are simply acknowledging and appreciating the one thing that you know that Bob is good at. Okay. And he won't know what to do with that, because his game of I'm ready for the arrows has just been, because you've just thrown him a bag of sweets, a bag of candy, and now he's like,
I don't know what to do.
I don't know what game is this? I'm confused because usually David really hates my guts. And I know how to play that game. But now he's like, he's throwing me a bag of candy. I don't know what to do with that. I guess I'm just going to eat it. Thanks. Okay. So secondly,
poor Bob.
No, I gave Bob a good one there. I think I gave him a good one earlier. I made him thorough.
Well, you gave him one good one.
Yeah, I know. Poor Bob. I know. It's like, who was it? It was Richard Curtis. It's always Bernard, isn't it? In all his films. He must have met someone called Bernard he didn't like. And every film he does is a character.
Where the loser.
It's a real loser. And it's always called Bernard. Mine's Bob. I don't know why. Okay. I haven't got any Bobs in my life I don't like. Don't get me started. Right. Secondly, headspace. Positive. By appreciating other people, you are instantly pushing them. Again, we could stay with our
the neurochemistry.
The neurochemistry. So suddenly you say something really positive. You have changed their neurochemistry. They're in a positive state of mind. When we're in a positive state of mind, we are far more creative, we're far more open, we're far more trusting.
We're far more likely to do things for other people.
Far more likely to do things for other people. It's the ripple effect that keeps on giving. So by appreciating people, you are putting them in a great headspace. Also, added to that or connected to that, you are, by saying, Bob, you're really thorough, you've just connected Bob to thoroughness.
Yeah.
So he's going to be nice and puffed up now.
Yeah, that's who I am.
I am thorough. In fact, I'm going to go away right now and be more thorough.
Exactly. With your project.
Yeah, with your project. So you're going to connect people to their strengths, and they're going to want to demonstrate even more of those strengths. If someone says to me, I think about you, you're so creative.
You're like, bing, bing, bing.
I'm going to bing, bing. But now I've got to be creative. I've just been labelled creative, so I'm going to do more of that. But exactly that. So connect people to their strengths, and those strengths will be stronger. They'll be at the forefront. And finally, if you want more appreciation in your life,
well, what do you always say, Phil? I mean, I love this so much. The thing that you want to see more of in the world is the thing that you need to be more of in the world. So step in and do the thing that you want to see in the world. And what's really interesting about this is that you don't have to go around saying, I want people to be more appreciative in my team. You appreciate.
In fact, don't say that.
No, in fact, don't say that. You go around appreciating people in your team, and that is the emotional virus that you have unleashed on your team, and it will come right back at you.
Don't bemoan it, be it. Okay, so.
I want to say one more thing on appreciation,
go on.
Which goes back to something you said right at the beginning of the appreciation piece, which is often we can think about appreciation
easy for you to say.
It's not, it's really not, as a one-way street, which is the boss should appreciate us, like we got the nice gold star from the teacher, which I always liked a gold star from the teacher, and I did get quite a few of them, Phil, I'm not going to lie. And
that's why you're here,
we are all adults, and the appreciation...
Bob's not.
Bob's not. Although he's thorough. But appreciation is a two-way street. So when you're thinking about appreciating people in the workplace, please do it at home as well, but in the workplace, obviously think about appreciating your team members specifically, consistently. Also think about your peers and your senior managers. Yeah. We don't often do it enough. up the chain, I think.
Yeah. If there's one kind of cherry on the icing on the cake to add to that, I don't want to stretch it too far because I really agree with you to think about it as a two-way street. One thing about with appreciation is really being able to accept it. That if you're giving it and someone says, "Oh no, I'm nothing," it wasn't me.
I didn't do it.
See if you can take a moment and say, I really hear you, and I know what it's like to receive compliments. I really mean it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted you to hear
and say thank you.
So you can help someone else try and absorb it. And if somebody appreciates you and your temptation is to just dismiss it or bat it away, take a breath, turn into a sponge and absorb it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's really kind of you. Thank you. Exactly. Take it because that's Bob. Because that is such a big part of that appreciation transaction.
Well, it's what you allow in yourself is what you allow in others.
Exactly. And if you think about the difference between someone going, "Oh no, I'm not. That's ridiculous. I'm really not," and someone saying, "Thank you. That is so kind of you to say that." You've just given them like everyone is bathing
oxytocin's like
fireworks. I mean, exactly. Everyone's winning. Exactly. Okay, so Pen, I'm going to give you the list. So if we think about appreciation, as we said, be specific.
I have to put my glasses on.
You've got to pop your glasses on because text is small. That's life now. That's why we're going to a 50th birthday party. So here are some ways or things to think about to really bed in appreciation into your daily work life.
Acknowledge efforts and successes immediately, in the moment. Don't wait for that half-yearly review. Write a little thank you note or text message or pop a tag on an SM. It can be really, really quick. Send a video message. I think that can feel like quite a big one to people, but boy, can you imagine if you got a video message from your boss saying, "I really appreciated what you did the other day," or that presentation.
Videos are only going to increase. If you are not using video in your comms, you are a step behind.
Yeah. Thank someone or your team publicly. I'd also offer to thank another person's team member publicly. That's a really champion somebody else. Appreciate your team members up the chain. So when you're with senior colleagues, just say, "By the way, Bob, he was very thorough on that last presentation." Offer something. So, can you offer people some time off for their hard work or buy them lunch? Can you create a process in your team where people can champion, celebrate and appreciate other people? Or perhaps you can offer a reward system where someone gets a voucher every month, an award ceremony. Again, it doesn't have to cost anything.
No, but everybody. What I love about that is we used to do it. I think we did it at drama school where everybody gets a different award. So you play to your strengths. So somebody gets the creativity award, somebody gets the funniest person in the team award or whatever it is. So that everyone gets an award. Yeah. It's not like the best results. It's actually
for who you are. Exactly. And then the final one.
That's really key, by the way. To appreciate for who you are, not just what you do.
That's true, absolutely. And then the final one, which I'm really hot on this at the moment, is create processes where it's really easy to do this. So maybe, for example, the first 5 minutes of your weekly team meetings are, we're going to celebrate somebody today. We're going to appreciate somebody. So if you've got something really structured and process driven, it's just much easier for people to push themselves down that path of appreciation and sort of counter that negative bias that we can tend to have. And I think I said on one of the previous podcasts, we have this appreciation wheel that we use at 4D where you can put people's names in your team on a wheel, and
it's online.
Yeah, it's online. It's a PowerPoint thing that we've got, and you click it and spin it, and it comes up with a name, and then you can love bomb that person with what I've really appreciated about you this week. So simple processes. They don't have to take time,
but they've got a structure.
They've got a structure, and then people just start to think this is a normal thing to do.
Yeah, I love it. And think about the knock-on effect of that. That then people coming to meetings know that they're not coming in for the telling off. They're coming in to a really good
and
culture.
They're thinking, oh, maybe it's my name this week.
Maybe I'm on maybe I'll win the wheel this week. I love it. Spin the wheel. Okay, so that was our H and our A. So we've had CH.
So it's cha-cha.
So it's cha-cha-cha. And the rest of charm will be coming in the next podcast. The R and the M, reliability and motivation. So keep asking yourself, are you good to work with? What one or two things could you dial up? Thinking today particularly about appreciation and honesty. What one or two things could you dial up to be even better to work with? Not so that other people are better to work with, but so that you are good to work work with. If you want to know anything more about being good to work with, being even more charming, really getting your comms, your team, the impact, your leadership into an amazing place and a whole new level and operating in all 4 dimensions, get in touch with us. We are always ready to be good to work with.
We are, and we're ready to go out tonight. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 4D Human Being podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Do take on board some of the insights, tools and tips, because every time that you try something new to get back to choice, you are making a vote for the you that you want to become. And I love that phrase, Pen.
I do too. And please do share this episode with somebody that you know would really benefit from the lessons and learnings we've been chatting about today.
And of course, if you're interested in more from 4D Human Being, do get in touch. We run workshops, trainings, online, in person, conference events and keynotes. We've got the 4D On Demand platform for your whole organisation. And we do have a free Essentials membership where anybody can sign up for absolutely free to access some of our insights, tools and tips. So do get in touch with us if you'd like to hear more. We cannot wait to hear from you and to carry on the conversation.